It's tough to say which is more agonizing. Watching India's aging farmers agitating in Delhi's biting winter, or watching Kerala's young job aspirants protesting in Thiruvananthapuram's hot summer, desperate for government jobs. The farmers' issues are well chronicled, so let's take a look at the desperation of youth in Kerala. On paper, few states in India can match Kerala. For instance, it has 44 rivers and rivers of remittance flowing in from around the world, bringing in about ₹1 trillion each year. But for all that, Kerala is a paper tiger. The reality rings quite hollow. The familiar statistics about Kerala are all very heartwarming. Number 1 in the Sustainable Development Goals Index. Number 1 in literacy. The highest life expectancy in India for men and women. And most striking of all, the low infant mortality rate, which is as low as 7 per 1,000 births, comparable to that of the United States, while India's infant mortality rate stands at a shocking 28. For all those sunny statistics, there is a dark side. Kerala is way too high on private and public debt. It is one of the leaders in suicide rates, and its youth unemployment rate is as high as 40.5%. So now you know why all these young men and women are protesting for jobs. This particular agitation is to protest the Left Democratic Front government's decision to make backdoor appointments, overlooking those who pass the Public Service Commission examinations. But even as these youth are protesting, the government is busy regularizing the jobs of party men who have been in temporary government jobs. Perhaps all of this should not be a surprise because the Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan himself can be considered a political backdoor appointment, considering that it was V.S. Achyutanandan who was the star campaigner for the LDF in 2016. But why are Kerala's youth so desperate for government jobs? Two key reasons. One, political parties and trade unions in the state have made life miserable for private investment. Corporate and profit are both detestable words in Kerala, and private enterprise is still a hard to digest concept even in the 21st century. Over the past 6 decades, Kerala's political parties have opposed large land holdings, resisted mechanization, and unleashed their unions on private enterprises. And two, what many youth see as some special attractions of a government job, namely no targets, lots of benefits, job security, and not very demanding. The attraction for government jobs increased recently when the government revised pay scales, making the lowest salary at 23,000 rupees per month and the highest at 166,800 rupees a month. So when government jobs are filled through backdoor appointments and there are very few private sector jobs going, Kerala's youth are forced to do what their previous generations did, namely travel abroad in search of jobs. And those who are totally devastated take their own lives. Of the 14,019 people who committed suicide in 2019 out of unemployment, 14% were from Kerala.
Kerala writer Paul Sakaria said, Keralites are economic refugees. It's because political parties wrecked Kerala for decades that Keralites had to migrate, manage to get a government job, indulge in corruption and stay here. From teachers to police, village officers and secretariat staff, all are thriving on corruption. If you can get into that circle, you too can live in Kerala.
The State Assembly was told in October 2019 that there were 3.6 million Keralites who are unemployed. That is more than 1 in 10 of all Keralites, not just Keralites who are in the working age. It's really sad to see all of this happening in a state like Kerala, which could become a Taiwan with a lot of micro enterprises if it chose to. Kerala already has a number of world-beating companies like a CGH, Eastern, IBS, Kitex, PK Steel, Genome, Suntech, Synthite, Terumo Penpol, and VKC, just to name 10 companies. And NRI investments like Aster, Lulu, and Ravis. But all of that is not sufficient for a state which produces about 30,000 engineering graduates and about 100,000 other graduates every year. When there are so many unemployed and so few private sector jobs, it is only natural that coaching centers for government jobs have become a cottage industry in Kerala. And this is one industry which doesn't see many unions and is thriving. It is a sweet irony that Baiju's coaching center, promoted by Baiju Ravindran from Kerala, has become the nation's most famous coaching brand. Keralites' unemployment has another facet, a total aversion to manual jobs. Keralites opt for office jobs, preferably a government job. So while 2.5 million Keralites work in the Middle East alone, some 2 million workers from Assam, Bengal, Odisha, Bihar and Jharkhand work in Kerala. The average Keralite has a deep dislike for the word private. They would rather dream of a socialist paradise where the state government gives them monthly food kits and doles out welfare benefits. And the state's political parties and unions give private investors a tough time. And that leaves the youth at the mercy of the state government for jobs. In the latest Ease of Doing Business ranking, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Telangana take the top 3 places, while Kerala comes at 28, the last but one place on the list. What do states that are low on industry and jobs do? Borrow. So Kerala's public debt has ballooned from 262 billion in 2001 to 839 billion rupees in 2011 to an estimated 3.01 trillion rupees by the end of March 2021. In life, individuals who are broke and who have run up huge debts take to gambling and drinking. Keralites are doing just that to save the state government. Income from lottery and liquor sales now contribute 36% of the state's revenue. Kerala's hapless, jobless youth who can only dream of government jobs in a socialist paradise won't be able to raise a toast to that. They may need a lottery win to save themselves. Thank you.